Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Daily Shooter, and today's going to be another viewer request video. This is a video that you guys have asked me to make at least 100 times now. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Duncan V. Becerra and what will happen if Xavier Becerra does not respond by August 28th. So let's get started. This channel is proud to be supported by the Firearms Policy Coalition. Make sure you check that link in the description box, become a member, and donate when you can, and be part of the fight for our Second Amendment rights and the USCCA. If you should find the need to defend yourself both in your home or outside of your home or while you're traveling, and the police don't have proof that it was self-defense, you might be going to jail, and you're going to need somebody to bail you out. You're going to need a lawyer and somebody to stick with you through that until it's proven that you are in fact innocent. And the USCCA is going to do that. There's not going to be any cost or anything out of pocket other than your membership fee. It's definitely a membership worth checking out, so check that link in the description below as well. Let's get started. Okay, so let me go and give you a little bit of backstory here, just in case you stumbled on this video and you don't know exactly what's going on. We're talking about Duncan V. Becerra, which is a case out of California that was recently judged by a 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. In a 2-to-1 vote, that court found that California's ban on what they call high-capacity magazines, and we call standard-capacity magazines, was unconstitutional. In California, they limit you to 10 rounds in your magazines, unless you previously owned magazines that could hold more prior to a specific date. Also, magazines that were acquired, on what we call Freedom Week. Freedom Week is a 1-week period that there was an injunction placed on that law that allowed people in California to acquire whatever capacity magazines they wanted, and after that injunction was stayed, they were still allowed to keep and use those magazines afterwards. Well, that 3-judge panel looked at that and said that these magazines are in common use now in California for lawful purposes, and therefore they're protected under the Second Amendment. And after a lengthy order, they decided that, again, that ban on high-capacity magazines in California was unconstitutional. But that's not where the story stopped, and that's what we're going to talk about. Now, you would think if a circuit court makes a decision that big, saying something is unconstitutional, that would be that, and whatever activity was banned prior would then commence again, but that doesn't seem to be the way that it works. It's strange. I don't really understand why it works this way. If something's unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional. That means that anything previous that said that the ban should stay, to me, in my mind at least, should be gone, because that would make that rule unconstitutional as well. But that's not how it went. So during Freedom Week, when there was an injunction against this law, and Xavier Becerra, who is the Attorney General for the state of California, came in and asked for a stay, and the stay was granted, the judge that originally ordered the injunction is the same one that ordered the stay. And in his order for the stay, basically putting the law back in place, in his order, he said that this stay is going to be in place until final appeal. Now, since it was only heard by a 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, that's not the final appeal, and that's why people couldn't just simply buy in, have magazines shipped in, and stuff like that. That's because the final appeal hasn't happened yet. There's still a little bit more room for the California Department of Justice and Xavier Becerra to move on this particular case. He can ask for an appeal, in which case it would go to a full judge panel or a full panel of judges for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. If that didn't go our way or his way, then again, it could be appealed by either side then to the Supreme Court. That would be the final judgment. So if the Supreme Court kicks it back down to the Ninth Circuit's decision, then the Ninth Circuit's decision stands. If the Supreme Court decides to hear it and they make a judgment, that judgment stands. And it wouldn't be until that point that that stay would then be nullified. So people are asking me about one specific thing because of that, the appeal, okay? The appeal has been like the biggest thing that people have been thinking about since that 3-judge panel made their decision. So here's the thing. Xavier Becerra, again, who's the Attorney General for California, is the one who needs to make that appeal to a full panel of judges for the Ninth Circuit. If he doesn't, by August 28th, which at the time of this video is just a few days away, then that judge, the 3-judge panel's ruling stands, and then it would be unconstitutional, in which case, this case is over. That means that the stay would be lifted. There wouldn't need to be a stay or an injunction or anything like that. It's unconstitutional. The laws that that this case was specifically talking about would have to then be lifted, and people would be allowed to do whatever they want. They would be allowed to buy, sell, transfer, manufacture magazines that could hold whatever capacity they want, because obviously there was that ruling, right? And so that's kind of what everybody is waiting for, to see what Xavier Becerra is going to do now. Interesting thing here is that in the past, when something has not gone his way, Becerra has jumped in almost immediately to file an appeal. He's not somebody who typically waits on something like this, especially till the last minute. What he usually does is he has an appeal ready to go should the decision come down not in his favor, and then they file for that appeal pretty much instantly after something happens. And that's why Freedom Week happened. We had Judge Benitez, who said that it was unconstitutional, and so people were allowed to do whatever they want, buy stuff again, and so forth, right? And then Becerra comes in almost immediately and asks for a stay in that injunction, and he ends up getting his stay in that injunction, right? That happened almost immediately. And in just about every other case that I can think of, that's what he's done. So this is something that happened almost a couple weeks ago now. And so what we have here is 3 days left for Becerra to make his move on this case. He has to file for an appeal by the 28th. If he does not, then that order is final. The case is settled, the case is closed, and it's Freedom Week forever in California. You guys can get whatever you want, of whatever capacity you want, and it doesn't matter if it's a drum mag, stick mag, anything like that. Doesn't matter. You guys can go ahead and get that because it was proven to be unconstitutional, and that order will stand, case closed. Okay, at least to my knowledge. I'm not a lawyer, and I try and make that known in pretty much all of my videos. I'm not a lawyer, but to the best of my understanding, and as somebody who's followed this stuff for a long time, if a panel of judges makes a decision and then that decision isn't appealed and the date expires for the time that the opposition has to appeal, that's it. It's case closed. The decision stands. If I get that wrong, let me know. I would rather give you guys correct information than information I think is correct. But everything that I've looked up and read for myself, again, as a layman who doesn't understand a lot of the legal jargon that's out there, that's what it looks like to me. So we have 3 days left to see what Becerra does here, and I am counting those days down, because remember that this would affect the entire area covered by the Ninth Circuit. So that's Washington, Oregon, Nevada, that is Idaho, I believe. It's also Hawaii. And so any of these states that are covered in the Ninth Circuit would then be protected by this unconstitutional ruling by that 3-judge panel. And so any of these states that would try and enact some type of magazine restriction that would limit people to 10 rounds or less would not be able to in the future. And so that gives those people in those states that added protection. Another thing that this is good for, because I get a lot of people from New York saying, oh, I wish this would happen in New York. I wish it would happen in, you know, whatever state has limitations over on the East Coast. Well, this has big implications for those people that are on the East Coast and in other states as well, because it gives precedent to other courts. It gives them something to look at, okay? So you can say that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals found that any magazine restriction limiting people, you know, to something that's not a standard capacity magazine was found unconstitutional by the Ninth, and they can now argue that point to whatever circuit court their state falls under. And so now you have this ruling that's going to be used as precedent in multiple lawsuits, I guarantee you, coming up should this stand. And so this is going to help people in other states. Even if it doesn't help them directly at this very moment, it's still going to give a lot more weight to the Second Amendment side in their state. So just, you know, keep your fingers crossed that this stands, because if it does, it's, like I said, it's big for the entire country. It's super huge for California and other states that are limited, but it is definitely a big win for everybody in the country. Every Second Amendment win across this country, regardless of where it comes from, is a big win that we should all pay attention to. So I wanted to let you guys know what was going on. Let's hope the appeal doesn't get filed. Let's hope this just stands. I'm trying to stay cautiously optimistic, and I hope you are as well. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.